Hello, what is up? I'm going to wait for people to join us, at least a few. Let me adjust my camera here. Hello, hello. Going super low key here. Oh. So, again, just to reiterate while people are coming in, the reason why I will sometimes do these short, I need to look at the camera. I got a new little microphone and it's sitting on top. I need to look at the camera though. Here we go. Where is the camera? Here or here? No, here. Okay, there we go. Hello. So we've got there's one person, there are two people on. Y'all want to announce yourselves? You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. So the reason why as I've said before, why I will, oh, I should probably center myself a little more too, shouldn't I? Oh, there we go. I'm doing this. I'm doing this on my phone. I might end up hating the quality of this because I'm testing out a new Rode microphone. It's not the one that I want permanently for my podcast situation. It's the one that I took to Pennsylvania. But anyway, it's what I have for the moment. More stuff coming in, and my new iPhone 15 Pro. I'm gonna learn how to use the cinematic function and some of the fancy video functions. But for now, we're just gonna do the basic. Anyway, y'all want to tell me who you are? No, you don't have to. Y'all can lurk. But hello to those three of you that are here now. So anyway, like I said, the reason why I will sometimes do these short videos on my, you could say my burner channel or my much smaller sidekick channel that we're on right now, is because it is easier for me when I want to record a video and I want to talk about something. It is easier for me to do it when I have an audience, like in a live stream, because because when I don't have an audience, as I said before, what I end up doing typically is getting perfectionistic about it and stopping it and redoing it over and over. And so with a live stream audience, you don't have the option for that, right? Unless I just end up hating it, I can redo some stuff. But anyway, so so anyway, that's why. What's up, Harlot Oscara? Harlot, are you a Manson fan or a Depp fan? How did you discover me, or how did you come to my channel? I'm curious. So anyway, I'm only going to go until I have a date, if you will, with my boyfriend at 9 o'clock Central Time. That's like 20 minutes. I can probably push it like 10 minutes before he gets insulted. So we're going to go for like 30 minutes here, and I'm going to try to get through everything I want to get through. But anyway, so this is going to be a very rough draft. I'm nervous about this because I want to get it right. It's going to be a big video, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of editing. So there'll be times when I'll repeat things or what have you. But anyway, the point is to get something down, a draft down, so that then tonight I can go through and edit it and have a nice polished video and put in, video and pictures and things like that, and then have a nice polished video to put out tomorrow. So that's what this is about. Now, and so since this is just a rough draft, I want to ask y'all, even though I'm about to start talking about some stuff that's actually pretty interesting and exciting, please don't link to this or share this or whatever, because I want people to see the completed video, the official video that I'm going to make from this. Okay. What's up, Lisa? Hello, hello. I'm glad you can make it. I was just saying it's going to be a super short video. I'm just trying to get some thoughts down, a rough draft, and then I'll take stuff from this and make an official video for my channel to put out tomorrow. Okay, so y'all are, and I have to remind myself to look at the camera too. And if there are sound issues with this, I might end up just scrapping this all together and using my nicer microphone. I now have an abundance of microphones. I went from not having any decent microphones to now having several. And so I'm trying out different ones, and I've still got another one, a nice one on the way, but we'll see. But this is a good trial run at any rate. So those four of you who decided to turn in, hi, Diana Rose says, hey, oh my God, I'm so glad you made it to the concert and got to meet Brian. How wonderful after all your effort. Love to see it. So this gets to the point here. This small group of you that are tuning in, small though you may be, and I know this is spur of the moment, so a lot of people will miss it, but you are lucky because I am going to talk about meeting Marilyn Manson, meeting Brian Warner. That is the subject of this video. And so ideally what I'm going to do after I talk about this is I'll go through it and edit it down and cut some things out, put some things, and then put a bunch of like pictures and video in. No, I didn't get video with Manson. I didn't get an interview or anything like that. Don't get your hopes up. I did get that picture that I posted on Instagram. I'll post it again in this video. But anyway, but I do want to go through and I want to talk about meeting him. All right. And what led up to it and what the experience was like. And I'm probably going to put out, milk this for all it's worth and put out a video in several parts, like maybe a 2 or 3 part series about going to the concert and meeting him. But I'm going to try to get the basics out in this video. Harlot Oscara says, Manson is one of my favorites. I found you quite a while ago, pretty sure on the Manson stuff. But I also like Johnny Depp and followed the trial and Tug's coverage from like a year or so before trial. Cool, cool. Well, like I said, those of you who are tuning in, there's just a few of you. You're lucky that you're going to get to hear about my Manson experience before everyone else. So, and like I said, I'm kind of nervous about how to put this out there and what exactly to say and what to leave out and whatever. So again, I'll be pausing and stumbling over my words a lot more than normal, but again, I can edit all that out. So that's, again, please don't share this link. So how did this come to be? First of all, for people who don't know, I went to Manson's first show, his first concert, his first public performance in years and years since before he was canceled, even before that, because before that there was COVID, right? And so it's been, I don't know how many years, people are saying 6 maybe, but it's been years since Manson has performed. And of course, publicly. And of course, it's so special because, for a number of reasons, but primarily because so many of us, myself included, thought that there was no way in hell that he was going to be performing to big crowds and officially in an official capacity in arenas and stadiums and so forth, and that he would be putting out music that would be hitting #1 on iTunes on the rock and metal chart. I think on the overall iTunes, it debuted in the top 50. Which is very impressive, but #1 on the rock and metal charts. And so I think that, and he's even headlining a number of his own shows. The bigger amphitheater and stadium shows are the shows that he's doing with Five Finger Death Punch as an opening act, although his opening act goes on for like almost an hour. So it's a very decent show, decent length show in and of itself. But beyond the touring with Five Finger Death Punch and the really massive, tens of thousands of people sized arenas, he's also now doing headlining shows, and there's smaller venues, but there's still big venues, decent sized venues. And to give you a sense of that, I'll just say this, that Till Lindemann is about to start touring North America and the US particularly as well. And he and Manson at times are going to be performing at the same venues, not at the same time, alas, but at the same venues, sometimes just days apart. And so what that tells you is that Manson, these headlining shows that he's going to be doing, that he has started doing, they are legit in and of themselves, because Lindemann is doing them as well. Big star, another big rock star that they couldn't cancel, could they? Try as they might. So, yeah. So anyway, point is, what Manson is doing, these performances, it's such a special time right now, because I know that I didn't think there was any way in hell that he would be doing this stuff again so soon after his quote unquote cancellation by Evan Rachel Wood and the hoaxers and the media. I thought that it would take, and that was part of my pessimism that I had, last summer, when I was getting frustrated with the pace of things and felt like Manson wasn't standing up enough and needed to be like more aggressive in doing interviews and things like that. Like, I thought that he was fucking canceled, done, so deep in the doghouse that it was going to take years and years for him to get where he's at now. So this is just, and all credit to Tony Well, I don't know. Actually, I don't actually know if Tony's managing Manson. I really don't know that. I still don't know that. But whoever is doing it, um, whoever is managing him, all credit to that person, and all credit to Manson, of course, because I've heard from numerous people who know him well that he has been on point and highly motivated and totally on top of things, managing and participating in this and bringing this comeback to life. So, point is, it's very special. And so that is why, even though I'm in Texas, that is why I did not want to wait until Manson would get here to Texas. I am going to go see him in Austin with Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I am going to go see him in Austin at his next to last show, but I wanted to go to the first one. I wanted to be there after 3.5 years of covering him and supporting him along with many of you. I wanted to be there for that first show and show support and also experience it. Right now, I did not plan up until a week ago. I did not plan on meeting him. And the reason for that is because, look, just there are a lot of people, there are a number of people who are under this mistaken impression that I have been, for these past 3.5 years, supporting Manson with my YouTube channel and promoting his innocence and all of that I have been doing that because I'm actually secretly like working for him, and that I'm just like thick as thieves with Manson and with Lindsay, and I'm basically just, I've been an arm of his PR. And it's so not true. And, I did that live stream. If you need any evidence of the fact that I'm not a yes woman or an arm of his PR, then look at the live stream. I think it's still up, that I did a year ago, where I was basically chewing him out for, I thought, dropping the ball and not being aggressive enough in getting out there and fighting. And so I guess what I'm saying is, I think some people would be very surprised at the absence of any kind of relationship there. There have been times in the past, when I have spoken, I've talked about this, I've spoken with Manson's wife some occasionally over DMs, and she sent me some photos, as you'll remember, a couple of years ago, or when they were on their trip to Berlin to share with fans. But really, despite what some people may think, there's really not a relationship there, as people would assume. And so here's my point. I was really reluctant to try to meet him. I had people offer to get me meet and greet VIP tickets so that I could meet him that way. And then I had other people saying, well, you should, behind the scenes, you should contact people around him, or get in touch with his wife, Lindsay, and ask to meet him and what have you. But I really didn't want to do that for reasons that I publicly explained, which was that I did not want to give ammunition to his enemies and my critics, who already have this mistaken idea about the relationship here and think that I'm not genuinely, that I haven't done genuine journalism, or that I'm just a yes woman, which is so not the truth, right? Or that we have some really tight relationship. And so I thought it just wouldn't look good, for me to be hanging around backstage, so to speak, or in the VIP area, or for me to be seen, going backstage, hanging out, meeting them, or what have you. I just thought that it was better safe than sorry, and it was not a good idea. But I'll tell you, not only seeing the massive success that he has had over the past week in all of this stuff coming out, the new single, the music video, the tours, all of that, but also seeing the utter lack of resistance to him in the media, except for just a few obnoxious articles here and there. Evan Rachel Wood has said nothing. Accusers have said nothing. The media has said nothing. Like, things are going really, really well. And so I just really had the feeling, honestly, like, at this point, what can anybody really do to me? People who want to say shitty things about me, they've already done it. They've already put whatever there is to see about me, negative stuff, out there. And I just really felt like I just really felt like there was nothing to be really anxious about, and that this would be really a once in a lifetime opportunity to get to meet the person that I have devoted 3.5 years of my life to talking about, to defending. And so in the end, I thought, I can either err on the side of caution, or I can err on the side of like my heart, which is take this opportunity, go ahead. It's not a big deal. Go ahead and go to this concert. And if you have the opportunity, meet this guy. And so that's what I decided to do. And so I did get in contact behind the scenes with some people who were then able to arrange it. I was willing to pay for and do the meet and greet, but we're willing to arrange it so that I could briefly meet Manson and Lindsay after the show. And that's where I got that picture that Lindsay took of us. People were asking, "Where's Lindsay? Where's Mrs. Warner?" But she took the picture. All right, how are we doing on time? Oh, I'm gonna end up running over. I'm definitely gonna have to split this into a couple of parts. Y'all just keep yourself subscribed to this channel, and and ring the bell for notifications and so forth. And that way, I'll do another of these videos for part 2 or 3 or what have you, and you can still see it early. But anyway, okay. So yeah, so I want to say a few interesting things about getting to the concert and about the concert itself, and then I'll talk about meeting Manson. But it's funny, I hate flying. I hate it so much. I hate every aspect of it. Not that I think anyone really likes flying, modern flying today, but I hate it so much because I get really bad motion sickness. I haven't thrown up much, but there have been a couple of flights in my life that I have thrown up on. Luckily, not on anybody. Had the bag, or went to the bathroom. But I get motion sick. I'm miserable the whole time. I feel extremely claustrophobic. I wouldn't say that I have like a pathological sense of claustrophobia, but I do feel pretty claustrophobic on those planes. I mean, it's just all of it. It's just yuck. And y'all know that, right? It's just yuck and annoying and obnoxious and exhausting and everything, right? And on top of that, I'm actually pretty afraid of flying too. I know what everybody says about how statistically you have a much greater chance of dying in a car wreck than you do in a plane. But y'all, that's no comfort when you're up in the air and you feel like you're basically like strapped into a flimsy tin can. It is no comfort. And the thing is, when you're driving, at least you have the illusion of control. Yeah, I understand people can come out of nowhere and hit you and kill you or whatever, but in general, like you feel like if I'm driving well, I feel like I'm going to be okay, even if that's just an illusion. You have no illusion of control with the planes, right? There's no way in which you have any control over it. And so I just hate all of it. Here's the thing, I really hate turbulence. And we had really bad on the flight to Pennsylvania. We had really, really bad turbulence, really, really bad, to the point where like some people on the plane were like kind of screaming and losing it a little there just for a minute or so. And I would have screamed or lost it, except I was just so like petrified that I was like gritting my teeth, closing my eyes. But you know what I thought? I thought I'm going to die on this flight to see Marilyn Manson. And that is going to be like, I don't know if they'll actually put it on my epitaph, but that will be, metaphorically speaking, the epitaph for me and for my life. She died going to see Marilyn Manson. And I asked myself, in my mind, as I'm sitting there like this, I asked myself in my mind, how would I feel about that? Was I going to be satisfied with that? These are the thoughts that go through your head, right? Was I going to be satisfied with that? How did I feel about that as my epitaph? The fact that it was all going to culminate in me dying on the way to see Marilyn Manson. And so, okay, it's going to be a little while. You go ahead. So anyway, so that was I thought that was funny. And then I also imagined if I died on that flight, if the plane went down and crashed, then what would other people say about that fact? Like, would people be like, "Oh, it's so ironic," or would it get would my channel blow up after the fact, like after I die? I know these are like really like narcissistic things to be empathetic things to be thinking of, right? Is my channel going to become successful finally in death? I'll be like one of those famous authors that's not recognized, in his or her lifetime, but then they die, and then posthumously their genius is finally appreciated. No, I'm joking. So anyway, so yeah, I was thinking about that, and anyway, just kind of amusing myself or trying to distract myself, I should say, as I was on the flight, and feeling in peril. But anyway, so I got there. I want to cut to the chase a little bit here. Like I said, I'm going to do a part 2 and probably 3 where I go back and I talk about my impressions more leading up to this. But I got there, long story, but got in and everything, and ended up having access to the area, right in front of the stage. I was not tough enough or ballsy enough to actually go into the crowd much. So if you watch the video that I posted on my social media and my YouTube, excerpts of the concert, I am standing off more to the side, but I actually had a really good view, even though it was a bit of a distance, because of the way that things were sort of sloped a bit. And so even though there were a lot of people in front of me, if I kept my distance and hung back just a bit, then I actually had a great view. And so you can see that in the footage. And I tried to alternate in the footage that I got, alternate shots of the stage and of Manson zooming in here and there, and then also the big screen, which is a great view of him as well. So anyway, so Manson came out. It was unfortunately the crowd. I thought the crowd for this show could have been more energized, but it was fucking hot. If you were there, it was hot as balls, whatever that means. It was fucking hot. Manson even joked about it, made a comment about it, like we were all drenched in sweat. I was personally thankful that I had not gone to any real effort with my appearance. Like I had washed my hair, which is a big deal for me actually. I'd washed my hair and put on some makeup, but that was it. And I was glad because I saw all of these women there, beautiful, beautiful women who had clearly taken all of this time with their hair and makeup and their clothing, and they were just drenched. It was all, the hair was all sticking to them. The makeup had kind of, was running in places just a bit. The clothes were even sticking to them. And so I was like, yes. But anyway, and so it was really hot. It was still daytime when Manson went on because of the time and the fact that he was opening. And that's kind of deflating for a crowd too. Daytime concerts or concerts when the sun is still up. And so there were a confluence of factors there. And so I thought the crowd could have been more enthusiastic, but it certainly had nothing to do with Manson's performance because it was a very strong performance. I have never seen him perform before. I've never been to a Manson concert, but just judging based on the concerts I've seen on video and my limited experience going to different concerts, I thought that he did great, and that's what everybody else thought too. Very, very strong. And when you watch the fan videos, I have to say, for some reason, and it wasn't just my videos, for some reason, most of the fan videos that I've seen from that concert, they minimize his voice. So his voice sounds weaker, much weaker on the videos than it did in person. In person, it was very, very strong. But unfortunately, with the videos, I think the bass, was so loud and it comes through so strong, the voice gets minimized. But his voice was extremely strong, and he did a great job. And so, so I watched that, and I had already, I'll say this also, I had earlier, before he started the set, I had briefly met Lindsay, Manson's wife, Lindsay Usich, or Usich, I still don't know, but Manson's wife. And so we had briefly hugged and said hello, and then she went back up with Manson's assistant and longtime friend Paula that I've interviewed on my channel, and so they were watching from the kind of the side stage, backstage area, whatever you call it, whereas I was in like front, right, in that pit area. And so I'll say this, my first impression of Manson's wife is that she was and is more beautiful than her photos would indicate. And I know that people say that all the time, but often it is not true, especially in the the days of Instagram now and filters. there are a lot of people that look great on social media and online, and then you meet them in person and maybe they don't look bad, but it just doesn't have the same sparkle and the same captivating beauty, right? But in her case, she really did look every bit as beautiful as she does in her photos, and even more so. And so she was dressed, it was, what's funny is she and I were actually dressed similarly. She did not have the ugly neon green hoodie on, but underneath that, and we were actually both wearing, let me see this, just the shorts underneath this, okay? We were both wearing these dresses, these black, sort of barely there kind of dresses that cut off above the knees, and then we were both wearing boots. Now she had big black boots on, and then I had these like shiny silver boots. But anyway, it's funny because we were dressed unintentionally, we were dressed very similarly. So anyway, after Manson's set, I stuck around to watch one or two Five Finger Death Punch songs because I did want to see some of them. I wish that I could have stayed and watched more. I'm going to try to watch much more of their set at the Austin concert I'm going to, but I did want to meet Manson, and I was nervous and all of that, and so I was kind of ready to get on with things. And so I went and stood sort of further back with some of the other fans and some of the other people that were waiting to meet Manson. And it's funny, it's like a king holding court. That's what it reminds me of. And this is nothing special about Manson. I mean, this is just how it is, I think, with these big concerts and these rock stars, right? These musicals, these musicians, Taylor Swift, whatever, is that after their show and they go back to their dressing room, and then it's kind of like a king or queen holding court, and then there are different people who are allowed in or called in or what have you at different times, right, to talk for a bit. And so that was very much the case here. Or it almost reminds me too of like The Godfather. Have you ever seen The Godfather? At the very beginning, Marlon Brando, he's the Godfather, and it's his daughter's wedding, and there was this big tradition among Sicilians, at least it's discussed in the movie, that no man can refuse a request on his daughter's wedding day. So at these big mafia weddings, at least during that period, the wedding day for the Godfather, for the Don, was spent actually in a room holding court, and just different people coming in throughout the day asking him for things. So nobody was asking Manson for anything that I'm aware of, but that was very much the feel of it, in a positive way, not in some sinister, dark way, but in an interesting way. And so I was standing there, and I was standing there with Zach Schiffer and his girlfriend. I believe it's his girlfriend, instead of fiance or something. Sorry, I hope I'm not getting things messed up there. But Zach Schiffer, you might remember that Zach actually was one of my early interviews because he hung out a lot with Manson and Evan Rachel Wood on a particular tour. And so he had some impressions of their relationship and of what he saw. And let me tell my guy it's going to be a little bit longer. I'm almost done, babe. About 15 more minutes. 10, 15 minutes, okay? I know. I'll heat it up. I'll heat it. He's very good. Let me just say, as a quick detour, he's very good about keeping me grounded. And like, because I'll just go a long time like without eating or whatever, like I'm supposed to eat, I need to eat dinner tonight, haven't eaten dinner, and it's getting late, and like I could just go on forever doing like video stuff and not eating, and he's like, no, you need to eat. And so he got some food, and I went and I told him, 9 o'clock I'll be done. And so I went in there and I said, I need a little more time, 10 to 15 minutes. And he's like, it's good to have people like that in your life to keep you grounded. That's one of the great things that he does for me. But anyway, so Missy Jade, I try to read comments normally, but no, this is not. So this is just this is kind of unusual. I'm just trying to get ideas out here. So no super chats, but Missy Jade, this is going to be for an official video that I'm putting out on my channel. I have to edit it and everything, but it's going to be on my channel. So you can leave like a thanks or do a chat button there. I am going to do a stream very soon where I do talk about this stuff and people can join in, but this is just to get my ideas out. And it's so good to see you, by the way, Missy Jade. Okay, let me get to the point here so I can tell y'all something juicy before I go in a little while, okay? so I was standing there with Zach Schiffer and with his lady, and they were gonna go in and see Manson as well. And so anyway, Lindsay, his wife, comes out and she says, Manson would like to see you for a little while. And so I went back there, and it was not a big dressing room, as you know, they seldom are. But I went back there and someone opened the door for me, and I walked in. And my first impression, and it's not surprising, is that Manson was so tall, so tall, and just this sort of like larger than life. I hate to get into cliche, but like this sort of larger than life presence. And I walked through the door, and and by the way, of course, I'm not going to spill the beans on everything that was said or private things or anything like that. So don't worry here. Everything I'm talking about, there was actually there was really nothing said that I would feel uncomfortable being shared. But I want to be careful. But anyway, I came in, and he was sitting down, and he stood up, and I just started giggling, not in like a kind of a stupid, like schoolgirlish, like, oh, Marilyn Manson, or whatever kind of way, but just like laughing, because it's such a weird feeling, as you can imagine, to talk about someone multiple times a week, sometimes every day. Some of my videos, the stuff that I post on social media, to talk about someone for 3.5 years, and to in some ways become so invested in and knowledgeable about their lives, and all of this stuff that you learn that comes out, in these stories and the court documents and all of that, right? And so it was I've never had the experience before of having spent so much time learning about someone and really becoming absorbed into their world, but not meeting them. And so it was a very weird feeling. It was almost like deja vu in a way, but it was a very weird feeling to be talking to someone in the presence of someone after 3.5 years of what I've been doing. And so I started laughing because it was just such a strange feeling. And he was very, very friendly, and appeared very happy to see me, and very generous. And in no way did it come across as like some obligatory thing. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's how he was feeling. It was late. I'm sure he was tired, but he seemed very, very happy to see me. And I can't remember, it was kind of a blur at first. I can't remember if I hugged him immediately or shook his hand or what. There was some kind of a greeting, and I think maybe it was a light hug. But he's very, very tall, and of course everybody knows that, but you get that impression even more so in person. And so I came in, and Lindsay was there, of course, and also Paula, I think, also had come in, or she came in at a certain point. Paula, that I've interviewed before, his good friend and assistant. And so Lindsay and I sat down on the couch, both facing Manson, and he was sitting at his desk, and so he sat back down in his chair, where he'd been sitting at the desk. Now, my impression of him, appearance-wise, is that, again, he looks as good or better than what we've been seeing in the photos recently. And this was another thing, again, that I was curious about, because so many people have commented on how he looks so great these days, and how his appearance has undergone such a transformation, getting sober, weight loss, revamping his look, all of that stuff, right? And I was curious if that would be my impression in person. And it totally was. He looks, I'm sorry to tell the haters, he looks great in person. And yeah, he does look like 20 years younger. He does. And it's so encouraging to see that, to see him looking healthy, and to see him looking like he is ready to take on the world, because I really feel like, I mean, he's already coming back, but I really feel like he is here to really be back, and to be in the mix again, and to leave his mark yet again on the culture and on the world. Again, not to get into cliches, but this was very much the look of a man who's not like trying to limp his way back to where he was. This is a guy who's like, I'm here and I'm back. He looked great. He sounded great. His attitude was great. And so there was kind of this interesting, 30 seconds or a minute or so at first, where we were making small talk, but we were all just kind of looking at each other, me, Lindsay Manson, again, like I think they were feeling the same thing I was feeling also. In fact, that's one of the things that Manson said was, oh, this is, and I don't remember his exact words, but he was kind of, because he was kind of looking at me at one point, just kind of with his odd look on his face, kind of, how you narrow your eyes a bit when you're scrutinizing someone. And I think that he thought that I might think that he was looking at me critically or something. And he said something to the effect of, "I'm sorry. It's just it's a weird feeling, or it's an interesting feeling to finally be looking at someone after you've been after you've watched so many of their videos," which I took as a really huge compliment. And honestly, he might have been being hyperbolic there to make me feel good. I don't actually believe that he's he's glued to my videos, but I do think that he's seen a number of them, and it was very nice of him to say that. But we were all just kind of looking at each other like taking it all in. And and then we talked for about, I'd say, 10 or 15 minutes, and for the most part it was him talking as you would expect, not in a narcissistic way, but just there were things that he wanted to say, and then also that there were things that I wanted to say. And again, I'm not going to share all of that, and don't even have time to share much right now. I'll have to put it in the some of it in the second video. But I think my overall impressions, first of all, it is absolutely true what people have said about him, that he is extremely chill in person and that his persona is so different from how he really is. I don't know if I've met someone, honestly, who is as calm as he comes across, almost to the point, a calmness and a gentleness, and almost to the point, and of course I know he was tired, but almost with a kind of a hint of like lethargy in there. Like it's just so hard for me to imagine. It's unimaginable that this is the monster that some of these accusers describe. It really is true what people have been saying about him, that he is so different in person to what you might expect, and extremely chill, extremely chilled out. And he talked, again, without getting too specific, I think that he wanted me to understand, since I have at times complained about him not being aggressive enough. I felt at one point that he should be doing interviews, that he should be out there more, kind of like what you see Kevin Spacey and Armie Hammer, for instance, doing, right? And I think that he wanted me to understand that he really felt like he had gained some wisdom going through the whole Columbine thing, when he was accused by so many people of helping to incite or provoke Columbine, or being an inspiration or a hero. This turned out not to be true, of course, but people thought at the time an inspiration or a hero for the Columbine shooters. And he had already been through this experience of being canceled for a while, of being hated, of being blamed, of having people lie about him and try to destroy him, and of being vilified as a monster. He had already had that experience, and he had gone through that and gotten through that successfully by doing what he's done here, keeping his head down, not being aggressive in terms of going out and doing media, fighting in other ways, obviously, like with his lawsuit, but keeping his head down and being patient and just going forward and waiting until he would have a moment then to start producing his art again. And one of the things that he wanted me to understand, I think, and I'm paraphrasing here, but my impression was that one of the things he wanted me to understand is that his priority had always been to get back to a place where he could express himself creatively again, where he could write music, produce music, put music out there, do concerts, do tours, and that was his priority, not righting all of the wrongs that have been done to him, or clarifying or fighting all of the lies that have been told about him. He was interested in getting back to his art. And I think that he really feels that the way that he's gone about it has been the best way to do that. And he feels like he learned something from Columbine about the patience that is required to get through an experience like this. And so I was really grateful and appreciative of the fact that he thought enough of me to explain his strategy and to respond to some of the, I think implicitly he was responding to some of the critiques that I had made about him um, in the past, especially last summer when I was upset. Now, before I go, I'm gonna have to finish this. Maybe I'll finish it later or tomorrow or something, because I want to get the video out, the official video out tomorrow. But let me think. There was something else that I wanted to tell you. There was something else I wanted to tell you. Oh, and this is the other thing. I think that he really wanted me to know that while he he would not, I don't want to put this, while he was not glad that all of this stuff has happened to him, I'm talking about the quote unquote cancellation or attempted cancellation and the lies and everything. He was not glad per se that this had happened to him, that so many positive things in his life had come from it, and that he really felt like he was, in my perception of what he was saying, was that he was in the best place that he had ever, in the most peaceful and the most contented and the healthiest place that he has been in his adult life. And that there has been so much good in his life in a deeper sense that has come from this. And one of the things too that he mentioned was that his relationship with Lindsay, with his wife, had been strengthened so much by this experience. And then of course, his commitment to his sobriety and so forth. And so I thought that was really interesting. And I was just very appreciative that with the limited amount of time that we had, that he chose to talk about what I thought were really the most important things. The small talk and chit chat and stuff, that's great too. And we did some of that. And there were some other things that I asked him that I'm sorry I can't repeat, but things that I'd been wondering about. But on the whole, those were the two main themes. So it was really interesting and it was meaningful, and it was also really cool to meet his team, or at least the team members who were there as well, because a number of them thanked me for what I had done. Right? Because again, people have this mistaken idea, some people and some haters, that I've been working as like their agent or something, when in fact I've been doing all of this voluntarily of my own desire to see this through, and of my belief that it's a big story. And so I think that there was a lot of appreciation by a number of people there that this is how I've chosen to spend 3.5 years of my life. And so I really appreciated them thanking me and having me back there like that. Now I will say one more thing, and then I'm going to go. I really fucked up one thing, and I still feel so bad about it. I still feel, and Lindsay, if you're watching, Mrs. Warner, I feel so bad. I had told myself before I went in there that I was going to make sure that Manson did not monopolize my attention, not in the sense like he was wanting to monopolize it, but like that I was going to be very careful to give his wife the attention that she deserves, because I feel like probably what happens is people go back there and just as soon as they go through the door, it's just all about Manson, right? For understandable reasons. He's a big star. But I kept telling myself that I was going to make sure that I did her the courtesy and the honor, and also I just really respect her, of spending just as much time talking to her, and of not favoring Manson in the way that I would pay attention to, and how I would allocate my attention, right? But it's interesting, y'all. As soon as you get in the orbit of someone like this, and it could be any movie star, any rock star, it really is like a black hole that sort of sucks everything into it. And not in the sense, I don't mean a black hole in a negative sense, but I mean, if you think about like black holes and gravity, and how really like anything, even on the outskirts of its vicinity, gets sucked in. And what's interesting is that as soon as I walked through the door, there was just this sense that sort of everything was kind of revolving around the big star, right? Like people even kind of moving, around, right? Or as he gets up, people getting up. And it was just, there is just around, and I'm sure it's like this with any kind of star, movie star, rock star, what have you, politician. But there is just this sense that as soon as you are around them, because everyone else is kind of moving in relation to them and looking to them, and they're the big show, right? They're the boss. There's just a sense in which you almost can't help it, and your attention starts to get really focused on that person to the exclusion of other people. And so what I really felt bad about is that at the very end, I got up and I asked Manson for a picture, and I didn't ask Lindsay for a picture. She took the picture that I took with Manson, but I felt so bad. I felt so bad, and I apologized later, and she didn't care and all of that. But I felt so bad because I'd done the thing that I told myself I was not going to do. So anyway, I thought that was funny, and it's kind of like that verse in the Bible when Paul says in the New Testament, I think it was Paul, the things that I don't want to do, I do, because I told myself that was the one thing I wasn't going to do. And I ended up doing it, but unfortunately, I think she's probably used to it, and she was very cool about it. Anyway, so I've got some more that I can tell y'all. I'm going to try to come on later tonight and talk about it. I've got a few more stories, a few more things to say about meeting with him, and then I want to talk about just some other stuff that was happening at that concert, some of the fan interviews I did, some of the stuff that didn't make it on camera. Anyways, but I have more to say. I gotta go. Probably already in the doghouse right now. Thank you all, and bye bye.